Hey guys, yes, it's me, Kate. I'm back. I know. You don't even have to say anything because I already know. I know. And I'm sorry. This is a busy time in life, okay? I'm moving out. Yes, that's still happening. I start college in 2 days. I work a lot. But yeah, and honestly, I am getting a whole new setup when I move. So I'm moving into this really nice place and I'm so excited. And I'm going to have like a whole new, so basically the reason this is my background, right behind this is like my bed, and my bed takes up like my whole room, so there can't really be any other form of background or anything. But in my new place, I'm going to have this huge like cork board, and I'm going to have like whatever case I'm doing, there's going to be like pictures from that case like pinned up all in the background. It's going to be so cool, and I am so very excited for it. And because I'm so excited for it, it's been hard for me to sit down and film because like this is so like boring to me now. I just want my setup to be so much more professional and so much like cooler. So yeah, but I promise when I get that new background, I'm gonna be filming all the time. I'm gonna be like so excited. But that's not why you guys came here. You came here to hear about the Collarbomb bank heist. Yes, that is what we are going to be talking about today. And if you are a Netflix lover, just like I am, then you have probably seen the 3-part docu-series that they did on it. It's called American Genius. It's the story of the craziest, strangest bank heist to ever take place. So yeah, we're gonna get into that, and before I get into that, I just want to put a little disclaimer out there. If you are very young, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. If you are sensitive, if things easily trigger you, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. I talk about very gruesome, crazy, off-the-wall things. This is a true crime channel. So if you are too young, or I don't want to say you're too sensitive, but if you are sensitive to these topics, then please don't watch this video. And also, I also want to put out there that I mean absolutely no disrespect to any of the victims or to their families that I talk about. This is just things that I find interesting, I find intriguing, and I want to share those stories with you guys. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to talk about the Collarbomb bank heist. At 2:28 p.m. on August 28th, 2003, a man named Brian Wells, who was a middle-aged pizza delivery man, walked into the PNC Bank in Erie, Pennsylvania, and proceeded to rob it. This was obviously already very odd and out of the ordinary because last anybody knew, he was supposed to be taking a pizza delivery, and that was that. And here he is all over the news as robbing a bank. Nobody knew what to make of it. His friends, his family, his landlord even said that he was like the best tenant. He lived alone with his cats, and he just went to work every day, did what he was supposed to do, was quiet, kept to himself. So it was just extremely odd that this was even happening. So in his right hand, he had what appeared to be a cane, but in reality it was a shotgun. And then underneath his shirt, which the shirt had guess, the word guess just written across it. It wasn't printed across it, it was actually physically written across the shirt. Underneath that, he had a collar bomb, which passersby described it as looking like he had a shoebox underneath his shirt. So it wasn't easily identifiable as a bomb, and it was covered up. but he passed the teller a note demanding $250,000. The teller said that she couldn't access the safe at that time, and she filled a bag with a little over $8,000 and handed it back to him. Now, Wells was, this is super, super important to note, he was extremely calm during this time, and he actually walked out sucking on a dum-dum sucker that he had gotten from, like, the bank. You know how they always have suckers. And he was just extremely calm, which is, again, very, very important to note. So he doesn't get very far. He actually doesn't drive very far at all before being pulled over by the police. And there is footage out there. I am not going to show the actual footage. I will probably flash a picture of just him in handcuffs on the ground. But there is a full-length video of what ends up happening to him, and it's just so gruesome, so I'm not going to include it, but he basically tells the officers that a group of black men put the collar bomb around his neck and told him to go rob the bank. He continuously said, "I'm not lying, I'm not lying. Did you call my boss? I'm not lying. I don't have much time." And sure enough, eventually the bomb went off and Brian Wells was killed on the spot. So it appears that he was a victim in all this, and that is what everyone initially thought. The reason the police didn't really intervene in time, they called bomb squad, and they were like miles and miles away. It took them a while to get there. But they really just thought it was a fake bomb. They never actually thought that it was going to explode. They said normally in situations like this, they are fake, but it wasn't. It actually exploded and he was killed. His family insists to this day that he is 100% innocent, but the police believe otherwise. Yes. They believe that Brian Wells played an active role in this bank heist, which is crazy because it's what caused his death. So that's why this gets its name. This is why this is a Netflix docuseries. It just gets so insanely, like, crazy. So they found lists of instructions of telling him how to go about finding the keys or the code to get the collar bomb off of him. And it was kind of sending him, like, one of the notes wanted him to go to a McDonald's, to like the landscaping and dig around under a particular rock until he found the next set of instructions, and it was just kind of a wild goose chase. The police tried to follow the clues from where Wells had left off. However, whoever was putting the clues out there eventually caught on and ceased putting the clues out, or they went around and collected all of the clues. So whoever did this ultimately knew that Brian Wells was going to die. There's no way that for it to be possible for him to have completed all of these insane tasks in time before the bomb exploded. Not to mention, there's no way he could have robbed a bank and then went all around town in the same vehicle without police interfering. So whoever set this up ultimately knew that he was going to die. So the place that Wells was supposed to deliver this pizza to was it was a TV tower. So it was at the end of a road, and it was just kind of like the middle of nowhere. One man lived extremely close to this TV tower, however, and his name was Bill Rothstein. So Bill Rothstein was this 59-year-old man who wore overalls all the time. He was super tall and super, super intelligent. He was a hoarder. His house was just full of all sorts of stuff, and he was really good at building things and putting things together technologically. So by technologically I mean not in the sense of like a cell phone, but in the sense of like a Collarbomb. Like, get what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. So about a month after Brian Wells's death, Bill Rothstein calls 911 and gives his own address, and he says, at this address you will find a frozen body. So of course the police are completely baffled. Why would a man seemingly confess to having a body in his own home? So they went to his address, and sure enough, after they sifted through all of his things, because he had a lot of stuff, they found a body in his freezer. So he said that this body was the boyfriend of a woman that he was engaged to twice. The woman's name is Marjorie Deal Armstrong, and the man in the freezer's name was Jim Roden. So basically, Rothstein says that he felt so guilty about storing this body in his freezer. He even contemplated committing suicide quite a bit, to the point where he actually wrote a suicide note, and the police later found that in his desk. And it started with, "This has nothing to do with the Wells case." So at first you would think that these two things, they don't have anything in common. That is until you see the suicide note that says this has nothing to do with the Wells case. Well, that might make you think it does in fact have something to do with the Wells case. So that is when the police really began considering Rothstein and Marjorie Deal Armstrong in this whole crazy plot. Back to Jim Roden, of course, Marjorie was arrested for his murder. He was killed with a shotgun blast to the head. Marjorie said that he was abusing her, something like that, and it was like self-defense and she had to shoot him. But she had like 5 other either husbands or boyfriends, significant others, that mysteriously wound up dead in her past. So that excuse kind of was running out with her. So yeah, and Bill Rothstein said that he agreed to hide the body because, I mean, he really cared about her and he wanted to do this for her, I guess. I don't know. Apparently he turned her in because she brought up putting the body through an ice grinder. So I don't know, you can store a body, but the second disposing of it is brought up, you're gonna call okay, all right, whatever. Bill Rothstein did get immunity from any charges he would face because he, of course, testified against Marjorie and got her a heavy sentence. And she was very vocal about her feelings all throughout the trial, about how she felt about Rothstein. It wasn't good. Definitely wasn't good. But she had many mental issues. I would say bipolar. I can't remember. No, it wasn't schizophrenia. I think it's just bipolar disorder. But yeah, she definitely had various different issues that led to this. So all of this happened in 2003, and Bill Rothstein died in July of 2004 from terminal cancer. So in 2005, Marjorie Deal Armstrong was convicted of the murder of Jim Roden. And at this point in time, they still hadn't really gotten any further in the Brian Wells case. They were completely baffled by it. I mean, Brian Wells himself said that a group of black men had put the collar bomb on him, so they didn't really know who or what they were looking for. Now, as I said before, Marjorie was bipolar, and she also was described as being incredibly intelligent. However, with the mental illness mixed with the high intelligence, it just kind of turned into this madness. And it just seemed as if she was kind of the perfect suspect, you know, someone who would put together something so complex that where it didn't need to be so complex. I mean, I can understand maybe the collar bomb if he was unwilling to participate in the bank heist, but all of the instructions and the wild goose chase and all of that, it just seems so extraordinarily complex and just unnecessary. I mean, obviously she or whoever did this didn't end up getting any of the money, even though it wasn't a fraction of what they asked the teller for anyways. They didn't get a fraction of it because he was, you know, the cops intervened way before that could happen because Wells had to stop at the McDonald's. So yeah, they just thought that maybe this woman was kind of the perfect fit for someone who, you know, could devise something so complex. Also, I know I said earlier that she murdered her boyfriend due to she said it was self-defense or something. That's actually not true. I apologize. It's because they had a dispute over money. So that also is a pretty key factor to think about. So after a while, it appeared that Marjorie wanted to cut a deal, and she said that if she could be transferred to a different facility, that she would say everything that she knew about the bank heist. But it wasn't really truthful. She insisted that she had nothing to do with it, but that she provided the kitchen timers for the bomb, that she was a mile away from the robbery when it happened, and that Bill Rothstein was the mastermind. She insisted that he was the mastermind. Now, he was dead, so not much he could say to combat that. And then she also insisted that Brian Wells was in on the plot the whole time, and that, you know, he was well aware of all of it. Now, while she was talking to them, she really was implicating herself the whole time, and the police, unbeknownst to her, had already been meeting with 4 different informants that told them that she talked about what happened in intimate detail with them, and that she was extremely, extremely guilty in what went down. So, by the end of 2005, the police had yet another break in the case, and this one was really, really huge. So a witness came forward and said that an ex-television repairman turned crack dealer named Kenneth Barnes had information about Marjorie Dale Armstrong's involvement in the bank heist. And so the feds, of course, tracked down Kenneth Barnes, who was facing some heavy charges for drug-related things, and they offered him a reduced sentence if he would tell them what he knew. And he revealed that the entire reason for the bank heist was because Marjorie wanted to pay him to kill her father, because her father was making some really big purchases with money that he withdrew from a savings deposit box, which was apparently supposed to be Marjorie's inheritance. So the $250,000 was apparently what Kenneth Barnes wanted, and that was the exact number written on the note given to the teller. So it all kind of was coming together. It was all very complicated, but coming together. So eventually in February of 2006, the police revealed to her that they basically pretty much had enough to indict her on this crime, and she was furious. But she kept talking to them, surprisingly enough. She even agreed to drive around with them and point out every place that she was on the day of the robbery, which of course was, those locations were linked to the robbery. So yeah, she then said that she wouldn't say anything else until she got a immunity letter. But the cops were kind of like, you already told us everything, so yeah, no, you're not getting an immunity letter. I mean, she kind of, she spilled beans. So by July 2007, the case was over. Charges were brought against Marjorie Dale Armstrong, Kenneth Barnes for orchestrating the plot. It was also brought against Bill Rothstein and Brian Wells. So officially, Brian Wells was considered a conspirator in the bank heist. This is because he had a relationship with a prostitute named Jessica Hoopsick, and it was expensive. So he agreed to rob the bank for a cut of the money. He thought that he was wearing a fake bomb, and then clearly once he got there to deliver the pizza, he realized that it was not a fake bomb, and he became unwilling in participating, but he was held at gunpoint, so they forced the collar bomb on him. Now, this is just my own speculation. I believe that it was real and it actually killed him because obviously they didn't want to share any of that money with him. They needed the $250,000 precisely. So yeah, that would be my guess as to why he died. Now, on the Netflix docuseries, they did an interview with Jessica Hoopsick, and she confessed that she actually brought Brian in on the plot. Kenneth and Marjorie were asking for kind of this fall guy, this guy to go do this, and Jessica said, "I've got your man." And she brought Brian in on it, and she showed a lot of remorse during her interview. She said that she felt absolutely horrible, and I believe she said that she has a child now, and she thinks that it is Brian's. So it's just incredibly, incredibly heartbreaking. I do think it's important to note that Brian Wells' family strongly believes that he took no willing part into this whole entire plot. In fact, as the DA was, saying her theory about Brian being involved, his sister stood up and continuously screamed, "Liar." So I do believe that is important to note, that they do not believe he was involved in the slightest. But in my opinion, I think that the theory makes sense. He was told that it was going to be a fake bomb. He was told that the instructions were to fool the cops. That way, if they interfered, he could show them and say, "Oh my gosh, look at what's happening to me. Like, you have to believe me." So, I mean, I think that it does make sense. It is very sad. All evidence points to him, for the most part, being a really good guy. I mean, besides this whole thing, I mean, he just was a guy who worked at a pizza place. He had his cats. I guess he had a hooker that he was actually, like, in love with, which is, like, sad. So, yeah. This was obviously a very complicated, very overthought bank heist, and it's incredibly intriguing to a lot of people to this day. due to just the all-around strangeness of it. I mean, only someone like this Marjorie Deal Armstrong would be able to construe something like this. And as for Bill Rothstein, I mean, he just kind of, he was very intelligent, but he just kind of went along with her because I think he was desperately in love with her to that day, even though they were no longer engaged and all that. By all accounts, he really deeply cared about her. Now, there are a lot of people that say that Rothstein was the true mastermind behind this entire plot, and he very well could have been. He definitely built the bomb, but I guess some things just get buried along with people. Even Marjorie Deal Armstrong is now passed away, so it's all just kind of left up to the theory presented by the DA and what everyone decided to settle on. So yeah. Well, that's it for this video. That was the Collarbomb bank heist. I encourage you guys, if you haven't seen it already, to watch the docu-series on Netflix. It's called Evil Genius. I think just type that in and it'll pop up. But it's really a great series, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be filming more often when I get my new place, for sure. That new background that I'm gonna have is gonna be awesome. I am already obsessed with it, and it's only something in my mind for now, but yeah, I'm super excited, and I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Oh, and I better do this. Make sure you subscribe, hit that little notification bell so that you can know every single time that I upload a new video. Follow me on Instagram. I'll put it in the description box. That way, sometimes, you know, I do polls or I do something to where you guys can help me pick my next video. So make sure you follow me on there. And yeah, maybe hit the thumbs up button. Alright, I love you guys so much.